There was a certain person who wanted more from life, even from an early age. Perhaps you probably knew them personally. They knew they weren't destined for the mediocre and the mundane. They grew up with no perceived advantages or the proverbial silver spoon. Said it another way, without affluence. College degrees rose up as an initial ambition, but soon dissipated, only to spawn the urge to be a future entrepreneur. What businesses would best suit them? They pondered. As they needed something to start on a shoestring budget. It means something that could be scalable. But what could it be? What could do something like that? What could place them in a position of a better life, a better direction? Then one day they stumbled upon a man who demonstrated the ability to predict market moves, seemingly able to travel time and space and return back with insights about the near future. They watched in amazement and they figured there has to be something to this. There has to be some trickery. There has to be some kind of a gimmick. But day after day, week after week, this man would share this openly, asking nothing in return. So they set out to slowly consume everything this man put out. Day and night they labored, feverishly looking for that epiphany, that aha moment that they could do it themselves. Soon their family noticed, their friends, their co-workers, and like much anything else in the world, curiosity got the better of them. And out of morbid curiosity, they asked, what is it you're doing all the time? Why don't we ever see you anymore at the club? Why don't we ever see you at our normal powwow where we get together and hang out? You weren't at the bonfire this weekend. What were you doing? Where have you been? They would ask. Well, with excitement, obviously, they began to show, this is what I've been doing. This is what's referred to as the art of reading price action. Excitedly, they showed chart after chart. This is what this looks like. This is what that market did. And I saw these things happening before it happened. And this is the craft that's called trading, where an investor can take money, their own money, and buy and sell and profit from these fluctuations that is inside these charts. Isn't that amazing? They wanted to share that excitement, that pent up joy, because they've been laboring all by themselves. In the quiet, in the stillness of the night, when everybody else was sleeping, preparing for another workday, or preparing for a busy weekend, they were staring at charts. They were looking at fluctuations and patterns and trying to adopt a mindset of pattern recognition, seeking a model that they could employ day after day. This is what they're going to do. But strangely, as they spoke and shared their excitement, their audience began to withdraw. Strange looks of bewilderment passed over them, an odd glaze in their eye. They didn't understand one thing they were being told. They couldn't get it. Why would you be so excited about this? This is what you chose after being with us for so long, clubbing, all the high school years we spent partying, all the football games and rallies we would go, tailgating, cookouts with liquor, booze, and barely clad women. This is what you've been doing with your time? Wow. What happened to you, they thought. And here they are, sitting there, wondering, have they been wasting their time? All this time, have they been wasting it? What did they miss? What have they missed? Putting this much labor into doing this. Surely they have been doing something much greater than their labor has. There must be something that they have missed. And they started doubting. The months and the weeks, maybe a year or so, they've invested in doing these, and they trimmed off all this extracurricular activities, the unhealthy practices, the substance abuse, the running around and wasting money just for a romp in the sack. Have they made a mistake? Have they wasted and squandered their time and energy on a pipe dream? If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it, they said. What have you done with it so far? How much money have you made with it so far? And they slinked back, and the weight of those questions rested on them. The weight of not having the receipts yet pressed on them. And they looked around, looking for words to speak, and words escaped them. And their audience told them, see, you've been wasting your time. Perhaps you know this person. Perhaps you've met them before. Perhaps you've seen them today in the mirror, online, or just maybe you're that person. I wanted to talk to you about a couple things to encourage you before we go into the holiday season, because this is my last space for 2025. And I want to remind you that all of you that had set in motion this pursuit on how you're going to learn how to use the things I teach, develop a model, work towards consistency, work towards profitability, and eventually carve out whatever future you have established for yourself as a goal. In the beginning, it's really important for you not to share those ideas with anyone, because the world is drunk on its lies. Maybe some of you are still struggling with that. You're trying to sober up. Come out of the world. Come out of the ways of thinking about, I got to get a mortgage and wrestle with that for the rest of my life in my job. I got to finish university and get my degree. And maybe I don't know if I want to do that career for the rest of my life. What would my parents think? What would my spouse think? What would I think about myself? What if I wasted my time, my money, my effort doing all those things? That's what the world wrestles with daily. But something about you specifically, is different. Yes, you're aware that everybody has to have utility bills, no matter how much money you have. Everyone has those. You always have insurances. You always have cost of living. But you know enough about yourself that this time on this spinning rock that we get isn't promised of any specific length in time. So you have to make the best of it while you can. And what you get in terms of rewards, success, is what you have placed in it in terms of effort and pursuit. And the majority of everyone in this world, they want it for free. They want a lottery win, something they didn't have to work for, but they deserve it. and you know enough about the world and yourself, you know that you have to go out there and get it. You can't wait for your ship to come in to pick you up. You got to swim out to it. Your pursuit of bettering yourself, bettering your family tree, building a legacy of wealth. You chose to do that. No one before you. You. You're the captain at the helm. You're the CEO. Everything's resting on your shoulders. And you made the conscious decision to work towards doing this. It was probably the easiest sell in the world the first time you saw it being done. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do what she just did. I want to do what he just did. I want to do what they're all doing. They're all speaking a language that I don't know, but I want to be a part of the conversation. I want to be among them, because where I'm at right now in the world, it is lonesome. I have all these friends. I have all these coworkers. I have all these football games that I can pal around with, tailgating. But after the game, I'm right back in that same place, wanting more. It's a distraction. I want substance. I want better. And that's not wrong to feel that way. But your friends live under a different set of rules. Your coworkers live under a different set of rules. Your employers definitely live under a different set of rules. And family, well, they're a different dynamic altogether, because you love them and you expect them to love you for what you're trying to do for yourself. You want them to encourage you, but surprisingly, when you share these things with them, you tell them, this is what I'm working hard for. Oh, is that college? Well, no, not really. Wow. That sounds like a waste. And as soon as you talk about what you could potentially make, and they ask you what you have made thus far, and you have nothing to show them. Those are the questions you don't want to be asked when you're first learning, because you have done the due diligence of placing those wants, those expectations ahead. You've placed them in the future. You are deferring instant gratification, a concept that the majority of people in the working class can't grasp. That's why credit card debt is so high, and bankruptcies are so high, and foreclosures are so high. Sure, they may have a fast car, looks great on the driveway, but you're losing your house. Sure, you had the best kicks on your feet right now. You're dressed to the nines, but you don't have any food in your pantry or your refrigerator. The grocery list is short. Half emptied mayonnaise, a couple squirts left in the ketchup, no milk in the jug. So when you tell the world, while you're striving for it, while you're working for it, and you haven't obtained it yet, don't lose sight that the world has not adopted the mindset that you have before you began. You knew it wouldn't be right away as much as you want it to be, but you pressed that down deep. You pressed it down, you swallowed that. You said, I will defer that want. Let me see what I can do. Let me find myself in this. And you want your family, above all, you want your family to turn to you and say, wow, this is incredible. This is actually exciting. I'm excited for you. When you do well, can you show me how you did it? That's what you want to hear. That's what you want. to experience, because it's hard to muster up the power to get into this and stick with it, because it's dry. It's very, very boring stuff in the beginning, and it's fruitless for a long time. Much like a college degree. But many in this world are willing to do all kinds of things academically, through sports, and through parents paying a large portion of those college tuitions with no hope, no guarantee that a high-paying job in that field is waiting for you. But many students press themselves into that mold, and they dig down deep. I better do it. I better do it. I better do it. Stick to it. It's hard, but it's worth it. It's hard, but that job's not guaranteed. Your happiness doing that job is not guaranteed. But something about this, something in these charts resonated with you. Something spoke to you and said, this is for me. Far beyond just seeing someone make money with it. Something in this spoke in a deeper level. It tapped into something that you probably never realized about yourself, that you wanted more. More than those that love you, that you love, that have been friends with you for a majority of your life. Your coworkers that you've been placing the time clock as a mutual chain tethering you to the boss. You've known them for years. You wanted them to look at you and say, wow, that's incredible. Like, can you tell me more about that? But they're drunk. And because they're drunk, they're lost. They're stumbling through life. They don't know what they're doing from one minute to the next. And they're numbing themselves to the pain of just existing in a mundane existence, 9 to 5ing it, Monday through Friday. So it's not a surprise, or it shouldn't be a surprise to you, when they lean in and they tell you with their whiskey whispers, you're gonna lose. You're wasting your time. Don't let that affect you. Don't let it bother you. Remember, you're the one that's sober. You're the one that sees it as it really is. You knew this was going to be hard when you first started. You knew you were going to have to work for it. You didn't ask your family's permission to do this. You didn't ask your friends' support before you started. And you're not asking for your coworkers to encourage you to stay working there when you can afford not to be. Setting your mind to a task like this takes a great deal of willpower and focus and discipline. And you're going to have to love your friends and family from a distance. And don't always feel like you have to let them know what you're doing. There's nothing wrong about that, because you're presently under construction. You're at work right now in the laboratory, building this financial monster that's inside you. It is yet to be released because it's still incubating. And no one else is going to understand it like you. No one's going to appreciate the sheer power that it feels like when you have it in your hands, that you're wielding the foresight of knowing what price is going to do, and then it does it. And you know, by doing that over and over again, repetitively, you're acquiring a skill set that far too little in this population has the capacity to be able to do. But you've tasted it. You've felt it. You've seen what it feels like to wield that. And no one can convince you otherwise that this is for you. But don't let love and fellowship distort your focus. You have not arrived yet. You're still working in that direction, but allowing other people in and whispering doubts into you, whispering questions of whether or not this is really something that's going to work for you. You have to prevent those opportunities while you're focusing. These people whom you love, or maybe you are friends with them online. You don't know them. You never met them, really. But they have a following and you want to be a part of their community. And maybe they found out because you've been open with them and honest, saying, yeah, I'm trying to learn these smart money concepts. I'm trying to do this ICT thing. What? That fraud? You're wasting your time listening to that guy? You're never going to get what you want on social media, sharing your own business, except for regret. Just this year alone in 2025, I want you to think about what a few of your peers in this community, what they've accomplished. And all of you know, I don't hold any hands. I don't say buy here, sell here, place a stop here, move your stop here. I don't do that. But all of you have access to the same material, the same content. And there's a large population of winning, consistently profitable traders that are students of mine that have no interest in coming forward on social media, least of all on X. They have no aspiring desire to do a mentorship of their own. They're not starting up Discords. They're not starting up signal services. They're living their life now, happily, without their job, and they're doing quite well. And some of them are multimillionaires, and they've acquired that just in the last few years. The things that I've been teaching, they focused in on it. They cut out all the fat and said, okay, I'm going to get very focused about where I'm taking myself, and I'm going to limit the time and exposure to things that I know aren't going to build me up. I'm not going to waste time with all that stuff on the weekend, putting that stuff inside me, because I have things to focus on and I have to be clear-headed. I have to be sober-minded. Look what Kyle was able to do. Look what King was able to do. Candace. Sean. The list is growing. It's not just the boys anymore, is it? This is in your grasp, but you have to filter out all of the noise. Nobody here is a hero. Nobody here is worshipped. No one's looked up to as better or superior. That's the wrong mindset. You're not here to do that, to go out there and start clubbing people over the head. You stupid so-and-so, look what you're trading with. I know it seems like that when I'm talking about other schools of thought, but it's because I'm questioned about my opinion. Do I think that it's equal or it's on par with what I'm teaching? And there's nothing like that. There's nothing like what you're learning. It's so precise. It's so consistent. It's so reliable. But you have to get in line with it. You have to dial in to what it's showing you. And you have to find your place with your own personality, how you're going to equip yourself to get in sync with what the market's doing. And knowing that this is enough. When it does this, I look for that, and it's doing it at the right time, so I'm going to take action, and I'm only going to risk this much. And hopefully you're learning not to risk what you have on things that you don't need, which is a right now trade because you're bored, a right now win so I can show my family because they asked me to show them what I'm able to do with it right now. They haven't seen me for months. They don't see me on the weekends anymore. They don't see me on the evenings at the bar. I might lose them as a friend. And guess what? That actually might be a beneficial thing. I'll say it a different way. I was afraid I was going to lose my friends who really weren't my friends. When I was growing in success, making more money, and eventually leaving the workforce. It was lonely being like that. All my friends were still working. I didn't have to worry about going to bed at a certain time. I didn't have to worry about having a sleep schedule. I didn't have to worry about being somewhere at any given time. And I was lonely because of that. And I went back like a dog to its vomit, back to these same people, expecting them to make me feel like I'm worthy of being a friend. And all I was a very fat wallet. And I made sure they had a great time on my dime. But eventually I woke up and realized that these people were here sponging off of me. I was the one contributing to them. They were doing nothing but sucking off the things that I was sharing. Money, my time, my resources. So you have to be careful. You have to guard yourself. Many of you probably have questionable friendships and relationships that would probably be beneficial for you to end. They keep dragging you back to a lifestyle, a vice, something that's holding you back. And I want to remind you that living well is hard to get there. Once you're there and you identify living well, what is living well? You're not worrying about the inflationary rate that's going up. You're not worried about how many people is going to lose their job because you don't need a job. You can help other people. You're so blessed. You know somebody that's in your family or a real friend, and maybe they're down and out. This skill set will allow you to help them, and you won't even think about doing it. It'll just be like, what do you need? But you don't need to tell them, yeah, I made $25,000 this week trading the NASDAQ. But that's what it feels like you have to do. You feel like you have to do those things for people to recognize your significance, your worth, your value as a person. And that's not true. That's you still sipping on the whiskey of the world because you think that's the language you need to speak in, and it's not. Eventually, over time, your friends and family and coworkers and people on social media that you pal around with, when you start getting good at this, they're going to withdraw from you because you're showing visible change. You're no longer, well, like one of them anymore. And they see it. They feel it. And now they're going to feel this separation from the norm. And they don't want to step out of that because they don't have the skill set to make changes and grow with you like you are. Finding success like you are, a direction in life that they don't have. You can't just sit down with these individuals and say, I know I'm going to be successful. I don't know how to explain it. I just know I'm going to keep working at it, and I know it's going to be mine. I've seen enough evidence to know that all I have to do is keep working towards it. It's not a fraud. It's not contrived. It's not fake. I've seen receipts not only in my own hands, but in others, and they're making real money. It's reasonable. It's reasonable to feel like you want to share your progress. your aspirations, your desires, your direction in life. It's normal because we're human. We're social creatures. That's what the creators made us like. We strive in pursuing those types of interactions with other people. But in trading, you have to be an island unto yourself. You have to be a solitary creature. You have to know that you're okay all by yourself with your model, your approach to trading, and your limiting outside influences. That's why I tell you, once you figure out what it is that you're doing and you're consistent with it, tune me out. The worst thing you can do is start tinkering with something that works in your hands. Unfollow me. Don't watch my videos. Don't talk about me on the internet. Don't go and try to see what everybody else is talking about. Who cares? What I'm saying to you right here isn't going to make you any more money. It's not going to put more trades in front of you. It's just simply encouraging you to stay on course. That's it. I've already taught you how to trade. I've already taught you how to find making money in these markets. All kinds of different ways of doing it. You've already been taught how to do that. But what you have to learn is who you are in the process. You have to determine where you're going with all this. And unfortunately, most people come here and they want a flash in the pan success story. Give me something direct, short, obvious, 1, 2, 3, ABC, and it's going to work every day. And I don't have to risk a whole lot of money. And by the way, buy me a prop firm account so I won't have to invest in anything either. Does that sound realistic? But that's what people email me for all the time. They ask me directly on X. If I did that to everyone that ever asked me, I would be broke. And I have a lot of money. Just think about that now. So you don't have any obligation at all. It doesn't make you poor in spirit as a person for you to deny other people knowing what you're doing. You don't owe anybody an explanation where you're at, what you're doing, what you're spending your time on. You don't have to do those things. And if you lose them as a friend, were they really your friend? Your family is going to love you no matter what. But your family, unfortunately, most of the time, not always, there's a few small instances where there is a supportive member in your family that would love to see you do well. It's usually an uncle, an aunt, a grandma, a grandpa. Rarely a cousin. Rarely a brother or sister. Sibling rivalry is a natural thing, just like in the wild. They love you, but they don't want to see you doing better than them. It sounds like an oxymoron, right? How can you say you love me, but you don't want to see me do good? You don't want to see me do better. And in your heart, in your mind, you're thinking, they feel like that now, but once I get successful, they know me. I will gladly, and think about it, you would do everything in your power once you're successful. Your brother, your sister, your parents, your friends, even your coworkers. Carl, he would say, wow, I never expected this from you. Like, I'm impressed. Look, I've been a jerk all these years. Is there any way, I apologize, but is there any way that you can just give me some tips on where to go with that? On social media, you would say, F Carl. But in that instance right there, the least expected person that you would ever expect to hear that from, you would retort with, sure, man, this is what I did. Because that person gave you what you want from your own friends and family. The least expected individuals. And that's why I converse with trolls, because many of them turn out to be really great students. And their testimony to me in private is much more compassionate than they would share openly. And they see the errors of their ways. They see that they just were sucked into the world. They were drunk on the whiskey of the world, sharing their misery. and you stick at this for any length of time, and you find success, you find continuity in what you're doing, and you discover all these, I want to do this real fast and make lots of money right now, goes away. And you learn that living well has always been the goal, but you've inflated it. You've inflated it to materialism. You've inflated it to, I have to look the part. I could be walking down the street and you would never look at me and know what my net worth is. You would never know where I live, what I own, what I could afford. When I was younger, I looked like I could own a whole lot more than I actually could. And that's a normal thing. That's normal. But when you mature as a trader, investor, entrepreneur, you lose the interest because really, you're asking for attention from people that don't really matter. You're walking down the street, these people are not going to have dinner with you. You're not going to meet their family. You're not going to do anything, beyond just maybe glance, nod your head, take a compliment from them or whatever. That's it. You realize how superficial and shallow that is? But when you don't have any reason for people to do that for you, you want it because you think it's going to make you feel significant. When knowing this skill set in your hands will feed you. It will feed your family. It is roots that you're pressing down deep in the earth on that family tree, that legacy of wealth, that you're the core, you're the trunk, you're the foundation of everything beyond you. That's the perspective you should have. That's how you should think about yourself and what you're doing. Not, I want to get a payout so bad. If I could just get some money right now, what would you do with it? Say you got lucky and you got a windfall payout of $25,000. How foolish would you be with that money? Be honest. What's the first thing you're going to go out there and waste it on? And what will that do for you in your present skill set and development as a trader? How much regret would you have looking back a year later if you did that very thing that you're hoping to do? I wish, I wish I had the money I blew just in my first year. Forget everything else, just the first year. Wasteful. And you can't go back and fix it. The only thing you do is learn from it. And I'm trying to tap you gently on the shoulder and telling you there's other things that you need to worry about. These twists and turns in the road ahead that you don't see. You're going to be impulsive. People are going to inspire you to act a certain way, to talk a certain way, to behave a certain way. And if it doesn't put money in your pocket or protect the money in your pocket, then why do it? Image, pomp, status. I can't spend that. That doesn't put any meat on my plate. It doesn't fill my glass. And I can't fill anybody else's glass with it either. So what good is it? It's the flesh. It's the desire to want to be viewed as better than you really are. And people that don't have it strive for it more than anyone else. And the people that do have it, the people that really can afford the things out of life, they don't care because they're comfortable, they're content with enough. Over time, what'll happen, it always works out this way. Those individuals that leaned in with that alcohol breath, with their whiskey whispers, you're gonna fail. You're wasting your time. Don't do that. Eventually, they painfully have to recognize that you make it, that you no longer are one of them anymore, and they are nothing like you. They still have to go to work, and while that's not something that's terrible, people have to work. Word says, unless a man works, he can't eat. But you don't have to slave for someone else. You don't have to report the duty and ask for your time off. You get to do what you want to do on your own schedule and spend your money that you make by your own hands however you want. And their whiskey whispers turn to bourbon blues, and they regret that they didn't ask you then. What keeps you motivated to still do this right now? How do you know that you're not going to be successful? Because maybe that would have been an uncomfortable question to be asked even in the beginning, but it's a whole lot less offensive than you're going to waste your money, you're going to waste your time. That's usually the response, because people that are watching other people make changes in their life for the better, that's an uncomfortable thing, because it puts a spotlight on them, showing them that you're not doing enough. But because they have no direction, they have no answer for it, and they're drunk from the wine of the world. Whining about, woe is me, inflation, woe is me, Trump's doing this, woe is me, the Democrats that, woe is me, the people coming in our country, woe is me, jobs aren't here, woe is me, property values are going up. You know how much time people that do well in this worry about those types of things? Next to nothing. Why? Why? Because they're not worried about where their next meal is going to come from. They're not worried about the skill set that they've acquired stopping in terms of effectiveness. They're not worried about anything changing in the world of investing. You're all fearful of AI. You know what AI is going to do? Nothing. Because it's already doing it now. It's been doing it since electronic trading. You're acting as if this is somehow, it's going to take away your ability. It's not going to do anything. The only thing that can happen is more people be involved and that liquidity is increased. So all that's doing is making more in terms of in reach all these things that you have in mind for goals. So let me ask you a question. Are you still drunk? You still doubt yourself? You sobering up slowly, but you still get that buzz from the world's whiskey? Or do you have the bourbon blues right now because you're impatient? You can't let it happen organically. Remember, you're cutting yourself off from the rest of the world that can't see things like this. Investing in yourself. It doesn't make sense to the average person. It didn't make sense to me. I wanted something better in life. I didn't want to work for someone else. Every time my wife and I take a road trip, I don't know why I ask the same questions, but I'm hoping that she's going to give me a different answer on certain things, because, you know, women are kind of fickle about that. And they guard their responses about this, that, and the other thing. But I ask her all the time, you know, what was your first job? What did you do? What were the first 3 jobs that you had? And I actually listed, I had 32 jobs. Think about that. I could name 32 places where I was employed. Now, mind you, some of these jobs were literally walking in the door saying, heck no, I'm out the door. And the same day I'm going. One of them I stepped in and I was like, oh no, I can't be here. And I walked out. But the majority of them were like 1 or 2 days and thinking, I can't do this. This isn't for me. And I revealed on X, I think it was yesterday, when I was a 17-year-old, I was working as a bricklayer. And really all I was a humper. I would just take the block, grab it with the clamps, and then lift it up to the guys on the scaffold above me. So you were the grunt. I was the grunt. And I worked that for a summer, and it paid okay. It was the most I ever made at that time. I was only 17, right out of high school. So, but I did a lot of menial jobs. And I told my wife, I said, back then, if anybody would have told me, learn to invest in yourself, I would have just blew it off. I didn't know where I was going in life. I just knew I wanted a white collar job, not the things I was doing. And I couldn't wait to learn how to do what I was teaching myself from 6th grade, which was code. And that way I could direct a team of coders as a systems analyst. That was my pursuit. So it wasn't heavy lifting. It was all mental things I was trying to do. But telling me then, just like my uncle tried to tell me, I was 14, 15, and 16 years old every Sunday at grandma's house, which was my house. 1 Victoria Road in Cardboard City. That's what they called it. The whole neighborhood looked like it was made out of cardboard boxes. It was old Martin Marietta staff, the military. That's basically what they were, military barracks and stuff. So there wasn't a whole lot of money invested in building them. And eventually it was sold off to the private sector, and then people started renting them. And that's where I was raised as, in that neighborhood. And on Sundays, my uncle would tell me, the richest people in the world, Michael, trade futures and options. Get yourself a job as an electronic technician. Start trading. You know what I heard? Blah, blah, blah. Ignore him. What's going on down the road? I got to go hang out with my friends. That's what I heard. Sorry, Uncle Stan. But the point is those seeds were being distributed to me at the age of 14, and I didn't even know it. Maybe you thought about trading. Maybe you thought about it, was inspired by hearing about it, and you're like, it's probably too difficult. I don't have any money to do it anyway. Until now, where less than $100 can get you in the door through these funded account companies. And you're seeing not only my students, but other people, different walks of life, different schools of thought, different approaches to trading. They go online, they share, this is what I just got paid out with. I love seeing that. I don't agree with the whole prop firm model, but hey, if that's the way you're going to skin the cat and that's the only way you got, then hey, go for it. Who am I to say that money ain't spendable? If it gets deposited in your bank, that's what that means. It's green just like mine is. But anybody that makes a profit in trading, I always, awesome. Because that's what inspired me in the beginning. I didn't have Inner Circle Trader to look up to. I had just Larry Williams with a $10,000 to $1 million in 1 year. That's what I was looking at. And when you're first starting out, as much as you want it, that's still a very big mountain looking up, thinking, this is what I have to measure up to. This is what success looks like. I have to do that or I'm not successful. That's how I was beating myself up. Instead of saying, you know what, if I could just make $250 a week, because back then that was good money for me, that would have been so much easier for me as a starting point, a humble beginning. But that's not what I was thinking. I was not thinking like that. That was a result of me finding a very simple approach to trading in the bond market. And I adopted this mindset that if I could make $250 a week and don't spend it and just pull it out and save it, pull it out and save it, by the time I turned 40, I could retire as a millionaire. So I spread out and deferred the immediate gratification of calling myself rich, calling myself independent, no longer needing a job. I pushed it literally 20 years ahead. A little less than 20 years, but roundabout. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I had to do that to hide myself from the pressure of looking like I had to do what Larry Williams did to be considered successful. As a 20-year-old, self-teaching, buying up all kinds of stuff, wasting money that I did not have, couldn't afford it. I didn't have prop firm stuff that you have today. But truth be told, I would have wasted thousands of dollars doing it back then too. I would have poured money into it, chasing this, chasing that, because I wanted to escape the world. The world was a constant reminder that I wasn't enough. My life wasn't satisfying enough. And losing my wife was the cherry on top, because if I was worth anything, she wouldn't have left, right? That's how I internalized it. And it wasn't me. She's had 20 different partners since me. Married several times. And I'm not knocking her. I'm just saying that I took it personal back then. And you take things like that in your own life personal too. And you dwell on it. And that's the baggage that you bring to trading. They're all the things that I talk about in these boring lectures that you think are just pointless rants. I saw a guy here this morning saying, I wish you would stay on point, because I like listening to you and I like learning from you, but you talk about things that don't matter. They matter more than you realize, young man. I promise you that, because everyone that's finding success masters all of their own personal baggage. All the trappings that you carry every day when you go to work, when you're traveling back and forth, commuting to work or university, the things that you're thinking about when nobody's talking to you, the things that you're fearful of, you have to wrestle that into submission. You have to do that. I can't fix it for you. Nobody else can fix it for you. Your broker isn't going to help you out and say, hey, look, we saw you had a string of losses here and you drew down about 30% of your account today. How's everything going on the home front? You and the missus okay? Your kids doing all right? Oh, they're not? Well, listen, we're going to replenish your account because, you deserve it. It's a lot of pressure on one guy. Come on. We're not here to hurt you. So we're just going to give you some money and fill in that void that he's created for your equity. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So when I talk to you, you're talking to someone on X, in posts to me on my videos, in emails to me that I rarely ever open. Not because I don't like you, not because I'm trying to dismiss all you, but I just get too many of them. And I can't do it. But sometimes the titles usually do get me and I'll open them up. That doesn't mean I'm going to reply to you, but I know what I've been through. I know what I put myself through. And I know that I'm not the only person. I'm not the exception. So I know that I used all these hurtful things to myself, thinking I'm going to motivate myself. Like in the 80s, when I was working out and I tried to be a bodybuilder, and I got as big as I could without steroids, and I started contemplating taking steroids. I was in World Gym. The guys were in there shooting it up, and even asked me, hey, look, we'll give you first gear of it. You tell us you want to keep coming for it. I was like, I'm gonna get back to you. Before I even got home, I already said in my mind, I'm going to do it. And I was the biggest of my friends. That weird desire to be freakishly big just jumped in my head one day because I saw these monsters in the gym with me. And I didn't feel inferior next to them. I was inspired by them. Like, I was like, man, I want to have traps like that. I want my lats to flare out like I'm carrying carpets. You ever see these guys that walk around and they have all air underneath their arms? We call them carpet carriers. Roll up carpet. There's nothing under their arms holding their arms out, but they're doing it. Okay, trying to act like their lats are flared out bigger than they really are. But these monsters look like manta rays, like on 2 tree trunks for legs. Like, it was freakish. They were big, huge. And honestly, looking back now, it's not as appealing. But when you're young and impressionable as a teenager, you think, wow, I want to look like that. they're a giant, they're a hero, that I'm going to look like these people. And then when you see people in the trading world and they take down big wins, they do something astonishing and commendable, really. No matter what style of trading they do, even if it was guessing, even if it was over leveraging, how are you going to knock someone taking hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the marketplace, whether it be through fund account companies or the real market? How can you conceive the position of you talking bad about that when you can't even scrape up 1/10 of what they just made? It's the whiskey on your breath. That's all that is. You got the bourbon blues. And that's what social media does to people that are weak-minded. And you may not think this way openly and talk about it openly. You may not agree with me. You may not heart my comments when I talk this way. But I'm certain that you know that what I just said is the truth. There's nothing good in social media. It's not inspirational. You want what other people have because you're coveting. But really what you're doing is you're torturing yourself. But you're mislabeling it as you're so inspirational to me. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not inspiration. You are pressuring yourself and you don't even realize it. You're placing so much pressure on yourself personally to live up to unrealistic expectations of yourself that you don't even have the skill set yet, because you haven't been working at it hard enough yet and long enough yet to be able to have the skill set to work towards doing it at all. And subconsciously, you know that, but you hurry up and flip the description and call it inspiration. Because you're caught now worshiping other people. And some of you do that to me, and it's wrong. I put my pants on just like the rest of you. Most of the time, I'm wearing Hey Dudes as shoes. Okay. When I was younger, all my shoes cost $400 or higher. And if they got a little bit of dirt on them, I throw them away. Wasteful. Wasteful. Some of you had the wonderful opportunity to be so much better as an ambassador for what I have created than even myself. That's what I tell my kids. I want you to be better than me. Gentlemen, in life, if you're blessed to have a son or sons, they're going to realize eventually one day that there was one person, one man in the world that honestly, sincerely, from the heart, wanted them to be better than that man. And that man is you as their dad. If you've been fortunate enough to have a father like that, maybe you lost them. Maybe they're no longer here with you. You know what I mean when I say that. That man, the only other man in existence that genuinely wanted to see you do better than them. Because there's no, your brothers, your friends, your co-workers, your boss definitely don't want you doing better than them. But your dad, your father, absolutely wants you to do better than him. And while I don't know the majority of you, and I'll probably never meet you, I look to you as much like children. And I don't mean that looking down upon you, but over the years, I have grown in my affinity for a lot of you. And when I talk to you, initially it started off with I'm talking to my kids. But then sometimes my mind would drift to certain members of my community, students that have done really well, students that have worked really hard, the Lumi traders, the Tanjas, the Kyles, all the names that you're familiar with. They first started finding their way in my mind as I'm talking. And then the certain screen names that would always pop up, the regulars, like Adam. Guys like waiting for it. Anything to pop on next, he's bang, replying something. It's like the first one there all the time. First one at the cookout. So I think of you all Even when my mind's adrift, like we're on the road driving around, and my wife's listening to her headphones because I'm not listening to that goofy Kindle love story stuff she listens to. I'm listening to headphones, but with just the noise canceling. And my mind drifts to all of you. And I think to myself, like, what are all of you doing right now? Are you making plans? Are you working hard, but keeping a realistic expectation in mind that you're not going to try to bite off more than you can chew? So that way you give yourself a real chance at this. See, it used to be people would say they would say, I don't make any money with my concepts. Then it went to nobody makes money with my concepts. And then now it's not my concepts. And then it's rebranded, and we can't find anything that's actually rebranded. And nobody's made any real significant money, but my students are the highest paid out and most documented one in all the companies out there that are funded, quote unquote. So you have zero reason to doubt now. Zero. There's more receipts. There's more proof in existence now online proving that what I'm teaching you really is what it is. And you are no better than any of those individuals. And they are no better than you. You're all on the same playing field. You're learning the same material, learning the same skill set. The only difference is you're applying it on an individual basis based on your own personality. And what you bring into this has to be filtered. Toxic thinking. I want to learn just enough so that way I can start a mentorship and I'll learn how to trade later on. Because if I can talk about the right side of the chart later on and make money from it, that's a bonus. But as long as I can talk about the left side of the chart, I can do mentorships. I could sell hindsight. I can make a lot of money that way, fake it until I make it. That only lasts for a little while until your clients, your customers, eventually start saying, yeah, but you never say anything that's going to happen beforehand. So you want to filter that out. If you had those inspirations, crush them. Just push it down. That's just your flesh. You just want instant gratification. All those things that you want right away, they're easy to get and so much more. But you have to do it the right way. You have to manage yourself and your expectations and defer your wants. And you have to replace them. And this is not easy to do. I'm nowhere near trying to say that this is going to be easy, because it wasn't for me. And I don't think it's inherently easy for humans to do this. We're impulsive creatures. Even the most disciplined of individuals still feel the impulse, but they wrestled it. Nope, you're not going to have what you want. I'm doing this. That's discipline. You have to forge that as a trader. You have to think how you're going to behave in instances that you have not yet been met with. Those are protocols. If you don't know what you're going to do if you have 2 losing trades and you don't have a plan for that that's written out, you're never going to be able to weather that. What's going to happen is, with no plan written, there's no standard operating procedure for you. I've suffered 2 losing trades in a row. What do I do next? Well, you know what your skin is going to tell you to do. I'm uncomfortable, so fix this. You're not comfortable in your own skin. So what are you going to do? You're going to over leverage, no stop loss, and you're going to go in there and just buy or sell whatever the first impulse is in your mind, just like that. Why? Why does that happen? Because you're suffering through a chemical imbalance because of the pain, the doubt, the frustration, the fear. You still have your account. You still have enough to take trades. You did not do that much damage, but the discomfort that you're feeling, that pain, you want to escape it. But you know you can't escape it, because to escape that means you have to simply turn the screens off and take the loss, plural. The first losses like that are the most painful and the most expensive, because you will go on tilt. How do you correct that? How do you prevent it? Acknowledge that you did something wrong and tell yourself, I am not done, but I am finished trading today. I have permission to leave this just like it is, and I will come back to it with a better prepared mind, with more patience, and I'm going to let this settle. Not, I have to escape the pain because I've just taken 2 losing trades. Yes, it's only a couple $100, or it's $1,000, or maybe it's $2,500. Whatever it is, it could be any denomination in terms of money. You don't want to have that. You don't want to suffer that. You want gains, you want profits. But part of this process is you have to learn to be a good money manager. And you have to stop hemorrhaging money. I don't like the expression that's bandied about by Mr. Hugard. It's no knock against you, Tom. It's just sometimes there's things I hear and I just don't agree with it. So if you ever hear this, you just permit me to know, or permit me to say this, and you know that I still have respect for you. Now, I'm not trying to, kick dirt in your face, but his expression is, and he wrote actually a book about it, the best loser wins. And you need to learn to be a good loser. I don't think that's actually a good way of saying that. I think the better way of saying it would be, you have to give yourself permission to be imperfect. Doesn't that sound a whole lot less, well, when you say the word loser, it brings to light a connotation that it's simply uncomfortable. And our subconscious is very powerful. It's like a sponge. And this is why I teach people, when you're logging and when you're doing your journal, you want to be doing things that speak positively, like you're nurturing your own child, because the trader that you're developing into is you. It's not somebody else. And they're highly impressionable right now. In the beginning, your first few years are very important years of development, just like a child is. The first 5 years of development are crucial. It really sets the tone for the type of person they're going to be. So I don't like the idea of saying that you have to learn to be a good loser. No, that's not actually a good way of doing it. You need to give yourself permission to be imperfect. That is very disarming. It's easier to allow yourself to walk away knowing that, yeah, I'm in control. Are you in control when you say, I'm just going to be a good loser today? I have never adopted a mindset once I found the models that work, the continuity in my decisions and operations, and taking the trades that I know matter because of the things I've been sharing and teaching to you. I've never looked at what it is I do when I don't do well. If I do it wrong, I don't say, I'm just going to be a good loser today. That's not arrogance. That's not ego. It's me guarding my thought process. It's me guarding the way I see myself. Because if I constantly feed myself subconsciously things that are keywords for loser, my subconscious is going to be thinking, okay, this is painful, this is uncomfortable, and I'm going to dwell on it for that night, for that weekend if it's a Friday. You know what it feels like when you go into the weekend, you've taken a loss, and you maybe were up in the morning, and that little bit of greed tapped you, said, you're only $75 away from getting funded. You're only $75 away from your payout, and there's no better day to do it now. It's a Friday. Why wait until Monday? And you blow it. All that progress is done. Do you want to tell yourself, you're just going to have to be a good loser that day? That doesn't help you, does it? But if that does happen, you tell yourself, well, here's what I was able to do. I got so close to it, and in my impatience, while learning how to do this and mastering myself, I allowed my impatience to dictate my actions. And I'm going to be able to do this again because I've got here once before. So I give my permission to myself to have a restful weekend. I'm going to regroup. I'm going to come back Monday and I'm going to start again. And I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm going to defer. And I've taught this to my students. If you are close to the proverbial payout or getting funded, and you know, as soon as you start looking at how much money you got to do to get there, and it's very small, don't trade that day. I promise you, if you don't trade, as soon as you start contemplating the concerns of being able to reach that, honestly, let me ask you, okay, there's only about 2,300 of you right now listening to me. Out of the 2,300 that are listening to me, and for people that listen to this later on in the day or whenever they get to it, reply to the link or the invitation that this Twitter space has offered for you to be a member of listening to it. If you've ever fell victim to doing that, I'm not going to ridicule you. I'm not going to say, ha, look at you. But if you feel like you want to be honest and make an impression on the other community members to kind of like inspire them to learn from your mistake, nobody here is beating you up. No one's here laughing at you. I've done this before, not with funded accounts, but I've done this before as a 20-year-old. I was very, very close to getting $10,000 where I was going to do a withdrawal. And I'm like, all I got to do is make another $200. And I got it. And it would be a Friday. And I would go on tilt, just like that. And the whole weekend, I'm figuring out how I can cut grass, do extra jobs, do things on the side, deliver pizza, all these things, just to get the scratch up to do it again. Did you ever suffer like that, where you're right there, or almost getting ready to get a payout, or you're getting ready to get a funded account, or reach some kind of a mile marker, and you start dwelling on it, and you have to get it? It's almost like a piece of meat between your teeth. Your tongue just keeps going back to it. You can't leave it alone. I cannot not trade today. I have to get this today. I cannot do that. I could not wrestle my own willpower to avoid doing this. I have to do it because I don't want to be sitting there on Saturday morning or Sunday. My mind's going to be just thinking that if I just would have did that, my weekend would have been so much better if I would have got that target on Friday before the end of the day. So you did it and you impulsively traded because you couldn't stand the discomfort of not having the goal achieved yet. Young men that tell me all the time, I wish you would just talk on point and stop ranting, stop talking all this wasteful stuff. Nobody cares about this stuff, old man. Well, that's because you're broke. That's because you don't make money, and that's because you don't know how to trade. And you think that trading is tell me when to buy, tell me when to sell. It's XYZ, boom, 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 1, 2, 3, easy steps. And it's not like that at all. And proof is I've given models just like that, telling you the very time, silver bullet. How many millionaires did you see come out of the silver bullet when there's millions of you watching the same stuff? The answer is not that. The answer is fixing yourself first. When you stop worrying about achieving things that you don't necessarily need, making an amount of money that you don't necessarily need in the beginning. See, who says you have to have $10,000 as your first payout? Who says that? I taught my son Caleb. I said, listen, you pay rent in an apartment like $1,700 a month. If you go into trading every week and your goal is to make $250 and come out each week with $250, no matter what you make above that, who cares? That's a bonus. You start like that. That's your cookie cutter. Because if you do that, you're getting the majority of your rent paid. Not all of it, the majority of it. You're beyond 50% of your rent. And if you do that month after month, then slowly increase it. Okay, now I'm going to try to make $350 a week. Do that for a month or two. And eventually work towards $500 a month. Now you're above the rent. You have to give yourself time and realistic goals in the beginning. You can't just go in and say, I just want to get a massive payout because I can copy all these accounts together, link them together, and I'm going to be able to do what Lanto's doing. And I had to find a way to segue into that. And I just want to tell you, again, that is very, very impressive. Very, very impressive. And I think everybody that's watching you would agree that you're killing it right now. So well done, young man. Very, very good. But I think that all of you that see things like that, and even other traders that use different things, even about volume profile. And I told one of my students, they asked what I was going to talk about in this, and I facetiously said volume profile. I heard Kit talking about, I really dumped on volume profile traders. And I'm not dumping on the traders. I'm just basically drawing a distinction between people that try to say that stuff's better than my stuff, or what's my opinion of, would I ever want to learn to use that? I learned all that stuff. I've done all that stuff before. Like, I've been around for a long time. All these things that you're now discovering, like you think it's something new, that stuff's been around. But when I'm teaching you my stuff, that stuff is really new. They're real rules that never been existing before. And they're very specific, like we did in the live stream yesterday. It goes right to the tick, based on logic that you can't find outside my stuff. And when you see people doing exceedingly well, okay, really, really exemplary results, yes, the shock value of big numbers like that, it can be very inspirational. But you have to keep yourself in check, because many times you will see things like that and think, I have to do things at a rapid pace because these opportunities aren't going to always be here. And that's not true. That's not true. That's your mind, that's your subconscious tricking you, because your flesh wants it right now. Just like as a young man, I wanted my biceps to be 18 inches. I was at 15 and a half when I was, I wasn't even 16 years old. I had biceps at 15 and a half, rested, not flexed. So I wanted to have big old muscles and arms like cannons, and I couldn't get them to grow fast enough for me. And then I started contemplating, well, if I did roids, I would get it in 6 months. So what was I doing? I'm trying to get a payout before the weekend comes, because I can't stand to wait another year and a half, 2 years to get the thing naturally and hold on to it, where I wouldn't lose all the water gain that steroids give you. You can get it quick. You'll puff up real quick. You'll bloat up real quick. But as soon as you come off your gear, it goes away real quick. So your mind left to, no discipline. You're going to let bad thoughts come in. You're going to let bad thinking come in. And then if you're weak and not disciplined, you're going to act on that. So that's why I talk this way to you. That's why the majority of the things I talk about, when you all ask for, give me a psychological lesson. All of my lectures, every time I talk, it's all psychological. It's predominantly that, because the technicals I've already taught. How you're going to manage yourself is a discovery on your part. I don't know what you bring to the table as a trader. I don't know what you're wrestling with. I don't know. Maybe you don't even know what you're wrestling with. But you will determine what that is if you're honest in your journal, and you have to keep that journal private, because that very reason. If you're not honest, you won't discover the things that's holding you back. I kept myself from being honest in my journals for a long time. I was wasting my time beating myself up in the journal. And the reason why I brought up the whole working out and trying to get big is I would cuss myself out in the mirror, at the gym, on the way home, like, you're weak. You're you can imagine, I'm not going to use the language here, but I would tear myself down because I was trying to be a drill sergeant to myself. And that doesn't really work. It didn't work for me. And until I learned how to master anxiety, I learned positive self-talk. I allowed only positive things into my mind, and I nurtured myself. I encouraged myself, and then I started basically treating me like something that mattered, not a failure that needed to be abused every day. And I did it through my journal. And I had this epiphany one day. I'm out, walking around, looking around, thinking, I want to do this so bad, but I always feel terrible every day. I wake up excited when I first get out of bed, but then I remember that I didn't do well yesterday or the few days before that, and I keep making the same mistakes. And I now beat myself up, and I would put this in the journal. I'm literally cussing myself out, saying I'm pathetic, I can't do that. And that is what many times men will tell you, and other men will encourage their friends. They think they're encouraging. Come on, don't be a PUSSY. Come on, you little BITCH. Don't be a little BITCH. I was never encouraged by that type of stuff. But in my youth, I thought by talking to myself that way, it would get me to do it. No, it didn't. It didn't work like that. When I started talking to myself intellectually and nurturing myself, carefully selecting the words that I wanted to speak into my own journal for reflection purposes, I held my personhood to a higher degree of importance, significance, and reverence. I began to love myself because I didn't love myself then. And if you love something, if you love someone genuinely, you're going to nurture them. You're going to care for them. You're going to be careful not to hurt, mislead, or harm them. And that's what's living inside you right now. That's that future trader. You don't realize it. You think that you got to whip them up, beat them in conformity. It doesn't work that way. You're wrestling with your own mind, and you're competing against the most shrewdest individuals in the world. These markets are meant to take from you, not give. They're meant to take. And you can talk all the man of war, build yourself up, pump up, pep rally yourself. You do all that stuff you want. You want to do pre-workout drinks and stuff. Yeah, I'm going to drink Monster, all these energy drinks, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to start trading. And you're going to blow it. When you're trading, you need to be able to filter all this stuff out. You don't want to take anything that's going to hop you up because you want to be able to think clearly. And when you're drinking all these energy drinks, you're cranking your heart faster than it needs to be. It's beating and working harder than it has to be. So your brain is constantly working on trying to keep your heart rate up because all the stimulants you put in it. And you can't be restful and focused. And the smallest little thing you do wrong is going to be amplified well beyond what's reasonable. And you feel terrible. And all the sugar crash that comes down from that later on expounds on it and builds it up to now you're going to be regretting more than just what you did. It's now how you feel. And you start eating clean, removing all the toxins from everything, no processed foods. What's this got to do with trading? Turn me off. Don't ever come back to my videos. Don't ever come and listen to me ever again. You aren't ready. I promise you, you are not ready. If you've never fasted, if you've never purged your body of impurities, have you gone 90 days without any sugar ever? Have you ever did a 0 carb diet for 90 days? You ever done that? The clarity that your body has after doing that. No processed foods, simple 1 ingredient foods. That's what I put myself through. I needed it. Something was going on in my body. I didn't know what was going on. But my heart rate rested was 125. 125 beats per minute. It was working like I'm dying. And I didn't understand what was going on. My blood sugar started going all over the place. Up, down, up, down, up, down, all over the place. No idea what was going on. Zero idea what was going on. 1 minute, my blood sugar's at 145, and 20 minutes later, it's 60. That's not normal, folks. So I said I had to take myself away from all of you, and I purged everything out of my diet. Broccoli, chicken, fish, sweet potato, water, lots of butter, sunflower seeds, walnuts, pecans. That's what I ate. That's it. 2 times a day. That was it. 18 hours fasted before I had the first meal. The first 8 days sucked. It sucked. I was starving, hungry, shakes, head hurting, couldn't sleep. But on the 9th day, if you've known me for any length of time, you've known that I've always slept about 4 hours, get up, do whatever I got to do. And then some other time of the day, I would take another 4-hour sleep. That's it. And once in between, I'd take a cat nap here and there, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. And I was fine. But eventually, turning 53, my body's not useful anymore. And it was processing things differently. So I had to purge everything. My rested heart rate now is 50 beats per minute, which is athletic. My blood pressure also was out of whack. My blood pressure is 110/60. I'm perfect. It's 0. There's no concerns with blood pressure. I have an 82 fasted glucose reading. That's my average at 82. And my blood sugar never goes above 112. Because every time you eat, insulin will be released in your bloodstream and it'll go up. But if you eat anything that has sugar or high carbs or processed foods, it will spike up and stay up all day long. If you keep constantly eating, you keep yourself in this condition where you're going to develop insulin resistance. My vision was affected. My vision has improved a little bit, but now I'm starting to see spots. Like I see like these brown like blobs. And sometimes, I mean, you hear me talking on the live streams and I'm looking at the charts. I'm wrestling with trying to move my eyes in the chart in a way where I can see it. Because it's like someone poured brown ink that's kind of like faded. I can see everything around, but those little spots, they come out of nowhere. Sometimes it looks like I'm seeing a bird or something flying around. Because if I move and pan my eyes around, I'm like, what is that? And it's these spots, they come and go. And I don't know what it is. So I gotta go get my eyes checked. But youth is a wonderful thing, but eventually it fades. And if you don't take care of yourself, you'll have problems with your health. And now I can sleep 7-8 hours all night long. And I don't have any blood sugar issues. I don't have any crashes. I don't have any shakiness. I don't have any spikes. I don't have any kind of irregularities in my blood pressure. And my heart is relaxed. And it was kind of scary, actually. And if you don't make changes in your personal diet when you're young, what's the purpose of having all the money in the world if you don't have your health? If you don't have your health, having lots of money is useful. It's only useful to some degree. But if I would have crashed out, had a heart attack and dropped dead, what good is all the money I have? There's no use. Sure, my family's well off, great. But I'm sure they would rather have me. I'd like to think they would. So I give you life lessons that these are things I never thought about. I never thought that I was going to have health problems. I never thought that, I'd have health issues that were related to my blood sugar. I didn't see it coming. But there's diabetes on both sides of my family, a lot. And something happened metabolically in my body last spring. And it carried its way into this year again. So I completely cold turkey said, this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to one ingredient food, 2 meals, 18 hours fasted before I eat. And once I eat the last time, I got to wait 18 hours before I eat again. And my energy level is so high. I don't get tired. I don't fall into hunger. I don't actually get hungry per se until I get past that 18 hours And if I've had something like a late meal, if I eat later on, like my wife says, look, you want to have some chicken, you want to have, some sweet potato. Yeah, she's eating and she wants to have a conversation with me. So I'll sit down and I'll eat like a quarter of a breast or something like that, or a thigh, something, whatever. I always pay for it the next day. I find myself getting hungry when I normally am not, when I break that cycle of 18 hours fasted. But it only takes a couple of days to get back in sync, and then I'm fine. But I can tell you this, my mental clarity has never been like it is right now. Like, I don't have any kind of brain fog. Even like when I wake up, boom, I'm sharp. Like, I'm really, really dialed in. And I think that if all of you would try that, regardless of whether you have health issues or not, you should try to do it. Literally purge yourself of all processed foods, no sugar, zero sugar. That means no fruits like bananas. I loved bananas. And when I started monitoring my blood sugar, I realized that it would spike my blood sugar up really high. And even half a banana was too much. So I don't eat them at all anymore. And the first 3 weeks of me doing this, I started having like dizzy spells. And I found out it was just simply me having a low vitamin E deficiency. So I started adding sunflower seeds and broccoli, because initially it was green beans, carrots. And carrots, I found that kind of spiked me up a little bit too. But all these things matter, young men that are sitting there. Maybe you're tuning out. Maybe you're not wanting to listen to this stuff. I promise you, eventually you're going to have something happen in your body where you're going to want to hear this kind of stuff and think that, wow, there's an answer to this. And my point is this: I don't eat nowhere as much food as I used to. I have more energy and I rarely find hunger. Unless I break the 10-hour fast, I don't get hungry. I eat at scheduled times because I eat for fuel, and that's it. And I wish I felt like this the majority of my life. Like, I've never felt this way before. I was eating meals all the time, trying to keep a weight at a level where I could bulk up and then slim down, bulk up, slim down. And then in the last couple of years, it was like my metabolism was acting wild. It was going all over the place. And issues with my back. And I don't want to be on prescriptions. I don't want to be on anti-inflammatory steroids for not for big muscles, but for anti-inflammatory reasons. Coming off of it causes problems, and maybe all those things compound to a worst case scenario. So I've completely purged everything. And I think that fasting, even if it's a 36-hour fast, you'll discover how hard that is, because many of you probably eat high sugar, high carb, and you probably eat more than you really need to. If you can purge yourself of that, you feel clean. You're able to think clearly. Stress is like non-existent. You can easily fall asleep. It's amazing. If I lay my head down, I can go to sleep like that. And I sleep throughout the entirety of the night. And for 25 years, I haven't had that. I couldn't sleep. Like, it was a lifestyle of insomnia. I never got tired. I don't have to have a job. I didn't get tired. So I never felt like I needed it. My body wouldn't let me, so therefore I didn't worry about it. But something happened in the 50s. My body said, listen, you're not young anymore. So we had to do things differently now. And since you haven't been picking up on what the clues have been, we're just going to start shutting things down and get your attention this way. And it was very scary. But I'm thankful that I feel like I have a grasp on what it is I should be doing, whatever length of time I have left on this rock. And my encouragement to you is to love yourself enough that, sure, working towards gaining a better understanding about what you should do financially with your market money and investments and your trades and making all the money in the world. It's wonderful. But you have to have, at the beginning of all that, you have to have a pursuit of wellness. And I thought I had a pursuit of that. Like, I thought I had that. And I didn't. I was doing things that my body couldn't endure anymore. It was fighting back. And I was not willing to make changes because of habit. And I promise you, you don't want to feel the pain that hit me in my back and went across my shoulders and down my arms. And it hit me 2 times. And I thought for sure that was a heart attack. Emergency room, EKG came back fine. MRI came back okay. And I was like, okay, Lord, if that's the warning, I'm listening. I'm going to make changes. So you shouldn't have to require a health scare to live well and eat well. And the things that you're putting in your body, lots of alcohol, smoking weed, natural. The Bible says all herbs God made in His goodness. And don't give me all that. Don't give me all that. Okay. I'm all for CBD oil. If you have inflammation, I've done it. I did it. Okay. I've done that. And I think there's medicinal reasons for it. Okay. But when you're doing it just to feel outside of yourself, you got to question what you're really doing that for. Because I promise you, if you find success doing this and you find yourself making lots of money and being able to afford whatever it is you want to afford, and you're not worried about living up the expectations of your friends and family and your coworkers, or even what you think you should feel as an individual, when you get past all that stuff, living superficially, you won't want to do weed. You won't want to do drugs. You want to do nothing like that. You'll want to be in the moment, savoring every moment of clarity that you have and the ability to be able to do whatever you want to do at the drop of a hat, just like that. And it's on your rules, your timing. That's power. That's yielding self-control on a whole different level with means. That means you have the resources, the skill set, the influx of money, capital constantly coming into your equity by your own efforts that will not run out, doesn't stop. Only time it stops is when you take a break and you go on vacation and you choose not to do any trading because you want to detox. Take yourself away from the marketplace. Managing stress, managing what you put into your body. I promise you, you start living successfully, you won't want to put that stuff in your body because you feel great. You feel in tune. And you're going to find that making money is easier when you're like this. I observe now the level of center I hold right now in my body, in my way of thinking, than I have never experienced before. And I wish you all could feel what that feels like. Because I feel centered. I feel at peace. My mind doesn't race 1,000. Like I used to have a constant flow of limitless thoughts constantly getting in front of my mind. And I felt like I had to push them all away with a stick, like beating them away so I could just focus on anything. And I don't have that right now. Like I don't have that at all. July 20th, I told myself, I'm going to submit myself to 90 days. I'm going to purge my body of everything. Now, did I cheat? Did I do things that I shouldn't have done, on certain days, like for my birthday? I had a scoop of ice cream, vanilla, on my birthday. My sugar went to 165. I walked for an hour and brought it down to 80. That's the key. As soon as you eat, whatever it is that you're eating, walk for 20 minutes. It don't have to be high paced. You burn that sugar off. Your insulin doesn't spike up. It doesn't fight your body, because as soon as insulin is released in your body, it is causing havoc. It's causing all kinds of problems. You don't realize it, but it's a huge disruptor to our natural chemistry. Hormonally, it messes everything up. And I feel stress like anybody else would if it's real stress. Like the thing, like I always worried about my kids, always as a father, worried about, what are they going to do if something happened to me? What are they going to do? Having money, they could blow it. They could recklessly do stupid stuff, get themselves in trouble, and then get into litigation with somebody or something, and then lose it. All the things I worked for are wasted then. Would I worry about it if I'm dead? No. But in my mind, all these years, I've worried about that. How my kids going to manage what they're being left with? I don't worry about that now anymore. I don't worry about none of that stuff. Stress, like literally like water on a duck's back, just rolls off me. And I don't dwell on that on thoughts obsessively. It's like I'm just going to come out and say it, okay? You guys can think whatever you want to think about it. I'm of the opinion that the things that they put in our food now are meant to disrupt our wellness, not just make us unhealthy, but it almost invites high stress. And who am I to be worried about anything? I don't have a job. I have plenty of money. I have a wonderful home and family. Until recently, my health has been perfect. So where's the stress? The only stress I've had ever was my own children. The mistakes they make, getting in accidents, telling them don't drive across the yellow line, don't speed, don't do this, and they're all the boxes checking them. Come on. That's stressful. I want them to avoid the problems I had when I was a young man. But they have to make the same mistakes, I guess. I don't know. They don't learn otherwise. But I want them not to make those mistakes. I want them to say, you did it better than me. But they don't want to listen. Like anybody else does. You didn't listen to your parents. If I would have had my parents, I probably wouldn't have listened to them either. And I'm thankful that it happened this way because I listened to my grandfather. He stepped in that role. But my point in all this is, if you allow outside interference from other people in circumstance to set the tone for how you're going to behave, conduct yourself, and work, and the food that you consume, the stimulants that you consume, if they're not making it better for you in terms of clarity, if you're stimulating yourself or dulling your senses, you're making this harder for yourself and you don't even realize it. I promise you, if you try this, purge all processed foods out. Get it all out of there. If it comes in a box, no matter what it is, don't eat it. One ingredient things, vegetables. I don't do much. I eat blueberries. I had to stop eating apples because that spiked my sugar up pretty high too. So apples and bananas, forget about it. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, I'm not a fan of, but regular yellow or white potatoes, cut that completely out. That's a bad carbohydrate starch. It's just not good for you. It just basically becomes sugar when it goes right in your body. The sweet potato, you think the word sweet in there is like, oh, it's going to be a problem. It's actually not. It actually gives you a really nice burn for the carbohydrate that it is. So I usually eat one sweet potato that's divided over 2 meals each day. And that's it. Once in a while, I'll have a soup that's homemade, and it's just simply chicken broth and some carrots that are sliced up, but not many of them, some celery, and whole chicken breast or thigh. I try to eat the dark meat because the fats is what I want. I eat a whole stick of butter every single day between both meals. And I know some of you are going to think, oh, it's a lot of cholesterol. Nope. It's actually better for you. Your liver literally creates more cholesterol than you could ever consume. And the people that have a high cholesterol reading, they actually have far less heart problems or heart-related issues because your body produces the cholesterol to lay down like asphalt. When there's disruptions because of hormones, insulin resistance, then you get cortisol and all these types of all kinds of stress-related hormone releases in our body. It tears up our arteries and blood vessels. And that harm inside the blood vessels, the only thing that our body can do is produce the cholesterol from our liver, produces that, and it goes in and lays down patchwork on those injuries. But it's important for you to live a stress-free life because the more you stress, the more your internal blood vessels, the layer inside there, they're getting these little rips and tears because of the hormones that's constantly rushing through you. So if you're in trades and you're constantly stressing yourself out, young men, which has got to do with trading, if you're doing all the wrong things, over leveraging your accounts, blowing them because you're pushing too hard to try to get something that's not necessary, Take small little pieces. But I've seen this other guy, Michael. He's your student. She's your student. He's trading with volume profile. That's better than ICT stuff, apparently. You see all these things and you're inspired to do dumb stuff. Well, if they did it, I'm going to do it faster because I'll just take the big risk and I'll link 20 accounts together and then I'll try to do it faster. Because once I make big money, then I can worry less. No, you're not. You're not going to worry less. Even if that happened, you're going to worry even more. What if it was just a one-hit wonder? It was, but you're going to worry about it in everything you do. And when you're constantly worrying and stressing, your heart rate goes up. And when your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up. And when your blood pressure goes up, all kinds of things are going on inside your body. And you're living as a youthful person, placing great deals of stress on your mind and your body, and it takes its toll eventually. And I think I'm actually getting to the age where it's now manifesting. So I have to be careful with myself and allow myself to heal. I can literally feel myself healing every single day. When I work out, my ability to work out the very next day is easier now. When it used to hurt, leg day sucked. Like legs suck. It's always the 2 days after you work your legs. It's the worst. I can't walk up and down my stairs without that shakiness, feeling like, oh, my legs are going to give out. That's the worst. But you have to do it. And I don't have as much pain now because I don't give myself anything except for pure food. And I go 18 hours fasted. So that allows my body to heal. But if you're eating before you go to bed, no matter what it is, your body's working to digest that food, not heal. When we sleep, our body's designed to heal. So if you're putting yourself through a lot of stress trading with big money, pursuing big payouts, that is very stressful. You're putting yourself through the ringer. And you don't realize the damage that you're causing. Even though you're young, there's still damage being done. And if you're sitting, which is the worst thing to be doing, if you're sitting for a long period of time, stop. Stand up. Get yourself a rocker board. It's kind of like a, actually came with my lift desk. I don't recall if I added it to, I think there's a YouTube video I put up where people were asking me what's my trade station look like. I showed the monitors and whatnot and the lift desk. And I think I shared how you can get one that's close to what mine was. But at any rate, it came with like this big slab of wood and it has like this half of a sphere underneath of it. So if you stand on top of it, you can constantly work towards balancing yourself. So it allows your legs to be cramped up. So your chance of getting a blood clot sitting too long, and it can happen. There's children out there that are, adolescents that end up getting blood clots because they sit there all day long on video games and their blood circulation's cut off. Well, that can happen to you. There's people in the world that have just simply sat out in their garden, kneeling on their knees for just 15 minutes because of the diet, the type of things they've done to themselves. When they stood up, a blood clot already formed and goes to their lung, goes to their brain, goes to their heart, dead. And they can't bring you back from that. So, when you consider the things that you're doing to yourself and all the risks you're compounding on top of just trying to make money and not losing it, these are things that you probably never considered or thought about. And I know as a young man, I didn't think about these things. Like I didn't think about them. But because now I have young adults as children and they're trying to do what they see dad do, I want them to know that, listen, I didn't really do everything the right way. Like I thought that I was doing the right things, but I really wasn't doing the right things in a lot of ways. And protecting yourself from what you're consuming, how you're staying in a static sitting position all the time, not healthy at all. Staying in a high stress condition, not healthy at all. And the way you combat that is only eating 1 or 2 times a day. Don't eat junk food. Don't eat processed in the box food. Okay. Never fast food. And then lots of water and keep yourself purged like that. And you're going to find that you sleep better. You don't feel that stress of being in the trades as much as you'll feel it. And I'm actually inspired, not inspired, but I'm trying to inspire you to do it, because I want to see the feedback from some of you that take this challenge. 90 days is a long time when you're going through it. But when you look back, you're like, it wasn't really that big of a deal time-wise. But there was 3 times in that 90 days where I kind of like, quote unquote, cheated. I had an extra meal one time because I felt like I needed it. Like I felt like I absolutely needed it. And just to give myself peace of mind, I just had a cup of broccoli and half a stick of butter melted over top of it. And yes, that's a lot of butter, but it's a fat and it's healthy. And you actually need butter, because what's in butter actually is the only thing that gives you health coating inside of your intestines. We don't produce it. You can't get it from anything else. It actually comes from butter. So if I'm not mistaken, I think it's called butyrate, but it comes from butter, not margarine. Don't eat margarine. That's not butter. And anything that sounds like it comes out of the crock, what's it called? The crock shed or shed crock. Something, it's in a gray tub. When we were younger, my mom would put leftover spaghetti in it. They used to be Saturday morning cereal bowls for me. Country crock, I think is what it's called. That's not butter. Okay, I can't believe it's not butter. It's not. Don't eat it. So anything margarine, don't eat that stuff. When you go to movies, that's not butter. Don't get buttered popcorn, because you're getting margarine, and it's garbage, and it's wrecking your body all terribly. So that's why I had to get a house that had a theater in it, because I like watching movies. I like popcorn. You can eat it. It's safe. It doesn't hurt you. And I put lots and lots of butter on it. I've always ate it that way. And it's good for you. And bottom line, it's good for you. And then once in a while, I'll shade up the chicken in the morning to eggs. I'll have 4 eggs scrambled up. And that's it. That's all there is to it. I don't have any kind of snacks, no snacking, no nothing, no fruit and vegetables in between meals, just that. And I am fit. Like I'm fit. I'm sitting at 190. My body is tight. My flexibility is coming back. I have no back inflammation at all. 0, none. And that's the first time it's felt like that since 2009, when I wrecked myself on the motorcycle. March 9th of 2009, 1:30 in the afternoon. That was the day I probably should have checked out, but the Lord said, not today. But I've been living with chronic pain since that day, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse. But after 2 months, it went away. 2 months of living with a different lifestyle of how I'm choosing when to eat and how long I'm sleeping completely changed everything. My ability to spend time in the charts is far more focused and clear now than it's ever been. And I just want to inspire you to just take a look at it. I think you're going to find that once you get to this position where you're taking everything out of your system that is not good for you, you're purging it all. Nothing in my body is artificial. No artificial colorings, no artificial sweeteners, no preservatives, none. And it's been a game changer for me. Like for me, I feel like I'm 15 years younger. And when you're 53, that's saying something. So I hope that I've given you something to consider working towards today. I probably bored a lot of you younger folks, and that's okay. I'll be able to live with myself with that. But if you've been wrestling with a lot of anxiety and stress, or having a hard time to rest, if you've been racing with thoughts all the time, I lived that way for a long time. And I believe I think it's something they put in our food, man. Like, I hate to say it, but I think it's intentional. And when you take all that stuff away and any possibility from it getting into your system, it changes everything. Like, it changes your ability to think clearly. Your decision making isn't clouded. And maybe some of you will take the initiative and try it. It isn't going to hurt you. If anything, it's going to make you better. It's going to make you healthy. And I'm trying to encourage that because I care about all of you. If I didn't care, I wouldn't talk to you. I wouldn't spend my free time doing this. And you're all going to put this stuff on your YouTube channel. I'm not doing it. I'm not monetizing it. So what's the motivation? I have sincerity between, what it is I want to talk to you about and what my goal is for you to have with it. And it's wellness. That's all. It's not simply enough to make money in the marketplace. You want to be able to live a long, healthy life. And up until recently, I've had that. I've been blessed. But having a health scare is scary, especially when you're entering the years that I'm entering in. I'm entering the end of the warranty years. Okay, so once we get to those years, it's like, well, anything can happen, right? So you want to give yourself all the advantages possible. But if you start living your life young like that, wow, how many years can you potentially add to it? And the importance of having a very low stress life is crucial, especially as a trader, because it is stressful. You are going to have a stress-filled life as a trader, unless you do two things. Number one, know exactly what you're doing, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, why you're going to do it. And you're comfortable with doing it wrong once in a while, and you have the discipline to say, I didn't do something right. I'm not going to allow my flesh to push me into something I'm not required to do at the time, which is get the money back right now. Take the loss and give yourself permission to be imperfect. Not, I'm going to be a good loser today. No, you're not a loser. You're imperfect. You can flourish being imperfect. You can make millions of dollars being imperfect. Okay. But when you dial in on the words like, I'm gonna call myself a good loser. No, I don't let those kinds of thoughts in my head. I don't let that happen. You shouldn't either. All you're doing is making a small little deviation from calling something that subconsciously will trigger fear, anxiety, guarding. You'll be more concerned about the outcome of everything because you now increase the level of importance, because the last time you took a trade, you were a loser. That was a loss. They're going to come. You're going to have losing trades. I'm not trying to say that it's not reality. It is reality. But it's important for you to hold a mindset and a perception around these things that are inevitable, and constantly remind yourself that that is part of this whole lifestyle that you're trying to be a part of. You're trying to adopt the most stressful, the most performance-oriented career. You're trying to be an entrepreneur in the hardest thing in the world, undercapitalized, against the hardest opponents in the world, in a game that's rigged. So think about that, because that's the real textbook response to what is trading like and what's it like for someone that gets involved. That's it. Now, the first time someone sit down with you and he said, what are you looking at? I'm looking at these charts. For what? And they gave you that definition of what it is. Do you want to subscribe to that? Heck no. And you're going to be questioning yourself even more why they're even worrying about doing it. So what is it? It's the money, right? No. It's not the money. It's the significance that you get doing it well, and the money is the bonus. That's the evidence to the people that doubt you. Look at what I got. But that's not why you're doing it. That's not why anybody does it. They want to feel empowered. They want to be able to look at someone eye to eye and say, you aren't better than me. Don't talk down to me. Don't tell me to report to work anymore because I'm not coming. That's what they want. They want power. And you can acquire that in this craft. But this craft requires a lot of work and effort. And you got to work hard on yourself first. The easy parts is the trading. And the reason why it feels so hard and complicated, the reason why you're struggling, the reason why you can't get it, here's the secret, and I'm going to close it. You haven't worked through your own problems yet. You're so busy putting out fires or hiding them from yourself and everyone else around you that you can't think straight. You can't think straight. All these things I talk about, you're looking for an easy distraction from the things that you're putting yourself through. I hope he would teach a new model. I hope he would. Why? You already have everything. You aren't doing well with what you've already been given. Why do you want more? Why? Because you want distraction from your inability to identify your personal faults, weaknesses, and shortcomings. And everybody has them. There's no shortage of people in the world with the same types of problems that you have. You're imperfect. You're perfectly imperfect. But you're wrestling through this world, trying to hold on to things that you need to just simply let go and put down. Something probably hurt you years ago, staying in a relationship that's toxic, trying to live up to the expectations of people that don't matter. Think about it. You're trying to impress people that don't care. You're trying to prove that you have things that these people that you don't even like can't afford. Where's the motivation there? What's the point? Who cares if you made $1 million? Who cares if you went out there and bought a whole army of cars and drove them down the block and parked it right in front of their house and said, see this? Once they see it, that's it. It's over. It's done. Your life has to mean more than simple things like that. They're shallow. So you have to purge your body, purge your thought process of all these toxic thinkings, and identify the things that's holding you back. I want you to really be honest with yourself. What is it that's messing you up? That makes you impulsive, that makes you want to push a trade on when there's no real reason to do so? What's the real thing? It's not that you want to make the money or get to the payout. You want that for some other external reason. What is that? Because that's the root thing that makes you tick. That's the why. And that why needs to be wholesome. That why you're doing it needs to make sense. It can't be emotionally anchored. It has to be principally oriented. What does that mean? It's got to matter more than just superficially. It's got to matter more than right now, this is the stimuli I would get if I could show the world that I made this much money. That's irrelevant. Nobody cares how much I have. Nobody cares what anybody else has. Once the number's revealed, wow. On to the next one. Who else is going to show what they made today? Who else is going to show what they took a loss on? Who else is going to feel like they did it wrong? That's what social media is cultivating in all of us. Constant stimuli. Something inside of you that's toxic, you're trying to get stimuli from that. That's what it is. That's what's holding you back. And the things that's holding you back are going to be ugly. They're the things that you don't want nobody to know about you. It would embarrass you. It would shame you. It makes you sick when you think about it because you know exactly what I'm talking about with you. Maybe it's something you did, should have done, but didn't do. Whatever it is, you got to put it down. Forgive yourself. Say, okay, I wasn't in a good place at that time when I did those things. I got people I call friends right now, and I'm trying to impress them and rush in through this process, and they're probably not really my friend. Let's test that theory. Cut them off for a little while. Isolate yourself. Build yourself up. If they're still your friends, they're going to be thankful that you came back and hang around with them, and they're going to be excited that you've done well for yourself. You ever think about it that way? Chances are you probably didn't, because I didn't think that way. I wish I would have had somebody that I cared enough to listen to, like you're doing right now. I wish I would have had someone talk to me like this. because I needed it. I needed a counselor of some kind. Like, I needed someone to give me direction, to remind me that I wasn't losing my mind. I needed it, and I didn't have it. I would have paid for this if it was made available to me. And because I believe it matters, I believe it's the truth, I believe it's helpful, I believe it's going to impact you positively if you really do the work of this breaking down yourself. Tear yourself down internally and think, why do I do what I do? And tell that answer to yourself in the journal. And I promise you, you're probably going to weep. You're going to feel disgusted writing it out, and you're going to be afraid that someone might find this. Doesn't matter. Pour yourself out in that journal. It's good medicine. It's the best thing that you could do for yourself, because you're going to find something inside of you that's the real root problem. And you keep picking at it like a scab. You won't let it heal. It's festering like an infection. And it's constantly making you impulsive. It's constantly making you self-doubt. It's constantly standing in the way of where you're trying to get to. And you have to conquer it. You have to cut it out like cancer, because it's plaguing your development and it's going to undermine your success. It's definitely going to defer your success. So you have to cut it out. But you've got to know what it is so you can identify it and then say, okay, it's a problem relationship. It's substance abuse. It's self-loathing, feeling like I don't deserve it. Who said that you don't deserve this? Who's told you that you don't deserve this? All of you deserve this. You all deserve a good, healthy, well-lived life that puts you in a position where you can bless other people. Who, even God couldn't even come down here and tell you that you don't deserve that. So why do you feel that way? Something's broken, and all you have to do is identify it and give yourself permission to heal and time to do so. And then take all of your attention away from that toxic thinking and pour it into self-improvement by doing these exercises. If all your focus is genuinely in doing this and not looking for the reward monetarily, not the immediate gratification that, oh, I'm learning how to do this, I'm going to make money real fast. I know if I do it his way, I'll probably be a better trader. But if I can start making money, I got time. I'll just be slower at getting better at it. But at least I'm making money. Wrong. Wrong. You're lying to yourself. I'm telling you, if you're thinking that way, you are lying to yourself and you're setting yourself up for failure. You're going to cause yourself to feel like you got to do more that's necessary, more often than it's necessary. None of you probably can consider the idea of just taking one setup per week and being content with that and living there for a couple months. No way I could do that. Come on, ICT. You're being unreasonable now. No, I'm not. Because someone that has conquered themselves with no baggage could prove to themselves that they have discipline, that they have forged a measure of self-control, that they could do that and show no impulsiveness, no impatience, no need to do more. Because they know after 2 months, they can resume doing whatever they wanted to do. And it was nothing but proving discipline, forging self-control, purging the impulses of the flesh, you wanting to do because you got time to do it. And in measuring the level of stress that you have endured versus what you're trying to put yourself through all the time. I promise you, you're trying to do more than what's necessary. And that is causing stress. And stress releases cortisol. And cortisol causes your body symptoms. You start feeling tingly. You get anxious, your breathing, your breath elevates in frequency. And a faster breath causes a faster heart rate. And a faster heart rate causes more stress hormones. And left like that, nobody can think clearly like that. No one can. So why are you trying to risk a lot of money doing it? Because no one sat down with you and told you that it's wrong. No one's cared enough to tell you that there's a better way of doing it. There's a way that you can do this stuff and not be stressed out. There's a way to do this and be consistently profitable and not worry about the outcome. Because the process is the model being applied with a sane, sober approach with no stress. Stress-free trading. You're not trying to win Robin's Cups. You're not trying to be on leaderboards. You're not trying to beat the last guy's payout. You're not trying to be the #1 person followed on the internet. You're simply trying to make more than you have right now with no stress. And measure how you feel about that. What are you contemplating? What are you worrying about? What is the positive things that you're feeling right now? What are you hopeful for? All these things are KPIs. They're key performance indicators. And you put that stuff in written format in a journal that you alone read. And you refer back to it. And then you give yourself a little bit more of a threshold to reach for. That means if you're trying to make $250 in the beginning per week, now reach for $300 or $350 more a week. And you gradually, slowly increase that. Not, well, I went to the gym, and I'm gonna get what's my heaviest lift I can do in weight? All right, now I'm gonna do 80% of that and start working out. Man, you're tearing yourself up. You're causing growth to be deferred, and you're hurting yourself. That's not how you work out properly. Now I know some of you juice heads are gonna come at me and say, bro, you don't even work out, and you're gonna come at me and do all this and do that. You don't want me breaking out pictures of me when I was 19. Okay, I'll put you all on welfare, okay, straight up. So the bottom line is this. In closing, I want you to live a well-lived life. I want you to be healthy. I want you to feel confident about what you're doing, but not overconfidence, not arrogance, not conceitedness, not narcissism. I want you to not worry about the opinions of others, least of which mine. If you're asking me to critique your work, you're already making mistakes. I'm not in the business of doing that. I don't have the time to do it too. And you should not be doing that. You're looking for needless things. The whole point of you being here is to learn how to not be tethered to anyone. And I'm the first person on that list not to be tethered to. You want to be an independent thinker without any stress, living a very long and healthy life. And you want to be able to move through these marketplaces without any degree of stress. And this is the process you go through. You start with you. And so many people, and you know who they are. They're the people that come at us, me specifically, and they're toxic. You know beyond a shadow of doubt, they're not comfortable in their own skin. I'm not going around looking at everybody that says anything positive about themselves saying, you're a wreck. And I have reason I can do it. I can look down on everybody else out there. I could, but that's not what I do. I don't want to do those things. I look down on everybody else's trading method because it's inferior to mine. And that sounds narcissistic. That sounds arrogant and egotistical, but it's facts. I would never leave what I'm using to go and do anything else. And when you get good at using it and knowing what it is it's capable of doing in your own hands, you will never feel that way either. It would be nonsense. It would be ludicrous to do that. No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what the market's going to do tomorrow. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay. So I wanted you to just be reminded before we go into our holiday break that the time that you spend away from me bloviating into these types of things or on my videos, I want you to think about how you can build up yourself. Take the time, and it'll be close to about 90 days before I resume in February, Lord willing. Try to do those types of things I've talked about here, or make a conscious effort to try to work towards it. Reducing anything that's not good for you is a good thing. And see if you don't notice a difference in stress. You're going to wake up one day and it's going to feel like, wow, my mind is not racing. I'm not breathing as fast as I used to be when I used to put these trades on. I'd be like, if you have those Fitbit little bands and such on your wrist, and you start measuring your elevated heart rate, you're going to find that your heart rate ain't doing anything. You're calm. I would love, I've seen Trades by Matt. He had it there for a little while. I heard Tom Hugard mention he had a low heart rate a few times. Tom, with all due respect, I really want to call you on this one, because I've listened to you, and some of that is actually the live streams that you were doing, where you're actually taking the positions, you're trading it, and you're doing it in front of everybody, and there's nobody can say anything bad about that. But you said that you had a 50 heart rate, but you seemed disgusted about something at the same time. I don't think that's possible. If anything, there would have been small little spurts of increased elevations in your heart rate. So I would love for live streamers, like, wouldn't you love to see Patrick Whelan to have his heart rate monitor on there and let him, I don't watch his stuff anymore. He's gotten real toxic, but the people like him, and you got this real cool cat like Matt Miller, Trades by Matt, you know him, funded accountant, code TBM, by the way. You're welcome, Matt. It's 2 times. You're going to owe me some kickbacks. Christmas time. Don't forget me, bro. So the difference between those two, really, really laid back versus crank. All, 100 miles an hour nonstop, drinking energy drinks and whatnot, crazed out of his mind. I would love to see a heart rate monitor on both of them, and then trade their largest comfortable size. And the information feedback that would come from that would be illuminating. Number one, you probably would see Patrick's heart rate already crazily elevated anyway, and Matt probably would be chill, and it would probably go up to about 100 or so if you put size on. But you probably see like 130 on Patrick. You can't do well in that environment. It's stressful. You can't think clearly. You will not be comfortable in the trade. You won't be comfortable in the trade. And if you watched him, you'll see he's never comfortable in the trade. And that's not a knock against him. It's just something that I think if he does things like this and starts investigating his own thought process and the things he does, I think it would be beneficial. It would help him prune all the things he's doing. It'd probably make him better. I know it would make him better, actually. And what do you think that would do for yourself if you said to yourself, I'm going to focus on lowering stress-inducing things, filtering a lot of this kind of stuff, not putting myself in situations where it's going to be high stress, not placing all this extra effort that's required to get through something that you want to be doing in private. Your speculation, what you're doing with your money, how you're risking, how you're entering, what mode of trading you're using, whether it be my stuff. I have people listening to me, they never even trade my stuff. They just like to listen to me talk about these types of things, the psychological things. And I got respect for it. That's cool. You don't have to use my stuff. I'm just biased with it because it's mine. But I think that if you were to be honest with yourself and look at what you do constantly to yourself, you probably make it a whole lot harder on you than it's necessary. You don't have to make it an Olympic feat. But that's what social media turns it into. You get caught in these traps. You got to win the competitions. You got to get on the leaderboard. Who said that? Are you able to make money and not have to go to work? Because that's really winning. If anybody hasn't said it lately, let me be the guy to talk about it. When you don't have to work anymore, that's winning. That is winning. I don't care what anybody says about that. That's winning. And when you get to that part of your life where you're able to do that, and you can do it from your own hands and the effort that you put forward in your trading, you're not going to care if anybody agrees with you or not. You won't care what anybody else thinks. You're not going to go around looking for arguments either. But when someone steps to you and says, oh, you can't do this, do you really care what people think? You're not going to. And you live a stress-free life. You laugh at them, you smile, and you wave, because they're not of any importance to you. They came there to try to distract and derail you. And who cares? If you know you're living your life, you're living in your world, that's the reality of what you're doing. These perceived ideas of what you're never going to be able to achieve, those are opinions of people that are failures. They have failed already, and they want to allow the enemy to enter their mouth and tell you you're going to fail. And that's a lie, because the devil is a liar. So I hope this holiday season, you have a blessed one, that you're healthy, and you come back next year, and Lord willing, if I'm able to do so, I'll have a whole new batch of whatever it is I'm going to be sharing with y'all. But I want you to have a very relaxing, enjoyable holiday season. Make it memorable. And I'm sure I'll be able to say my holiday spirits and wish you cheer and all that, given the opportunity on X and whatnot. But if I don't get the chance to say it, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year.